here's something the algorithm has never done and never will. A complete stranger, someone you've never met, someone whose name you'll never know, decided you needed to see something. They wrote it on a card, they taped it to a box, and 20 years later, that movie is still one of your favorite. That's what I actually want to talk about. Not the nostalgia, not things were simpler back then. Something more specific and more unsettling. The video store was the last place where a stranger's taste could accidentally reach into your life and change it. We replaced it with a machine that knows us so well it can only ever show us exactly what we already are. And I think that's a loss we haven't named properly yet. So here's what I want to do. First, go back into how the labyrinth actually worked. Then look at what the empty shelf forced us to do that the algorithm never will. And finally, try to name, as precisely as I can, what we actually lost when the stores closed. Let's start in the aisles. Let me describe how the algorithm works. It watches what you watch. It finds patterns. It surfaces things that match those patterns. Every week, the recommendations get tighter, more precise, more you. The machine learns you, and then it feeds you more of yourself. Forever, in a loop. It's incredibly efficient. You know the specific feeling I'm talking about. It's a Tuesday night. You're on the couch. The room is dark, except for the blue light of the TV. You've been scrolling the home screen for 23 minutes. The fridge hums in the background. Netflix has changed the thumbnail of a movie you've already seen 3 times because its algorithm thinks a different image might finally get you to click. You're not choosing anymore. You're just moving your thumb. Eventually, you put on something you've already seen because at least you know it won't disappoint you. And then, sometime before the ending, you fall asleep. That's what efficiency feels like from the inside. And efficiency, in this case, is a slow poison. The video store was the opposite of efficient. It was a labyrinth, and the labyrinth was the whole point. You walked in with a plan. The rock had just come out. You wanted the rock. And you left with a battered copy of Barton Fink because some employee named Darren thought it was better. Darren, it turned out, was right. That path from intention to discovery didn't happen because a system predicted it. It happened because the world is full of people who love things, and sometimes their love is contagious. The store's layout was architecture built around the unexpected. New releases up front? That's your plan. But the further you walked, the stranger it got. The lighting dimmed. The carpet got more worn. Sections appeared that nobody really knew how to define. Cult classics, foreign. A shelf that just said, "Ask us." And you didn't search, you wandered. Wandering is how humans have always found the things that matter to them. Not by querying a database, by getting a little lost. Here's the thing about the cover art while we're here. There was no Rotten Tomatoes, no score, no algorithm, no 40,000 people with your watch history telling you what to think. Just you, a piece of cardboard, and a gut call. You'd flip the box over, read the blurb, always written in fonts legally required to contain at least 3 exclamation points, and you decided, alone. With no external validation. That process, repeated hundreds of times across your childhood, was building something. It was calibrating your taste, quietly, patiently, making you a person with opinions you had actually earned. The video store trusted you to make a call. Streaming doesn't. The call has already been made for you. I'd love to say I'm above the Tuesday night scroll. I'm not. There are movies in my queue I've been about to watch for 2 years. Sometimes I scroll longer than the movie would have lasted. The system gets all of us, eventually. It's subtle, it's comfortable, it's frictionless, and that's the problem. Because understanding how it works doesn't mean we have to pretend we haven't lost something real. We lost the risk, we lost the accidental left turn. Now the part everyone forgets until they feel it again. The empty shelf. The moment I want you to remember. You drove to the store. You had one movie in mind, the one everyone at school was talking about, the one you'd been waiting 2 weeks for. You walked up to the new releases wall. You saw the display box, the title in huge letters. You reached behind it. Empty. You checked the next slot. Empty. The one after. Empty. You did the math. 30 slots, 30 copies, 31 people who wanted this movie tonight. You were number 31. The weekend had a seating chart, and you weren't on it. This is genuinely hard to explain to someone who grew up with streaming. There was a limited supply of joy. Your desire didn't matter. The intensity of your wanting didn't matter. The shelf was just empty. And here's what happened next. The part that actually matters. You didn't go home. You pivoted. You walked deeper into the store. You found something you'd never heard of. I went in one Friday for Terminator 2. This was maybe 1993. I was 9. And came home with tremors because the box had a giant worm eating a truck and I couldn't put it down. I've probably rewatched Tremors more times than anything I actually planned to rent that year. The movie I didn't know I needed was waiting for me precisely because the movie I thought I needed was gone. The empty shelf was a door. We've sealed all those doors now. Every movie is available, instantly, always. And so we choose what we intended to choose, every single time, and we never stumble sideways into something we didn't know we needed. The discovery that used to happen by accident just doesn't happen anymore. That sounds like a victory. I think it's a quiet loss. When the tape went in, something shifted. You'd paid, you'd driven, you'd made your peace with the choice. The VCR made that specific sound, a heavy, mechanical clunk whir. And the machine swallowed the movie and you were committed. Not, I'll give it 5 minutes. The whole thing. You'd put in the work, so you were going to extract the value. Behavioral economists call this the sunk cost effect and usually describe it as an irrational bias. In this case, it was the best thing that ever happened to you. The movie you'd have abandoned at the 30-minute mark, the one that didn't grab you immediately, that asked you to be patient. That movie sometimes turned out to be extraordinary. You just needed to get past your own restlessness. The rental fee and the drive solved that problem for you. The commitment device was built into the medium. Streaming killed the commitment device. Now, if something doesn't grab you in 8 minutes, you're already reading the synopsis of something else. We've trained ourselves to be impatient with anything that builds slowly. We've lost entire categories of film that only reveal themselves if you trust them. And after the movie, you talked about it, because you knew the tape was going back. Once it was returned, you couldn't re-stream a scene to make your point. The movie lived in your memory and nowhere else. That scarcity made the conversations richer. You had to actually remember things. I keep coming back to the staff pics. Think about what that actually was. Someone who worked at a video store, $6.50 an hour, polo shirt, rewinding tapes all day. Took the time to write a note about a movie they loved and tape it to a box in the hope that a stranger would pick it up. No followers, no clout, no algorithm amplifying their reach. Just a belief that this movie deserved to be seen, and a hope that you'd trust them. That was the first version of curation. The original influencer was a 23-year-old film nerd in a strip mall who'd seen every movie in the store and genuinely wanted you to watch the good ones. They had no incentive to mislead you. They just cared. The algorithm replaced them. And the algorithm does not care. It has no taste, no enthusiasm. It doesn't love anything. It only knows what you've already watched. And it will keep narrowing the circle quietly until your entire taste fits inside a single row on a screen. The clerk cared. That was the whole difference. And because they cared, sometimes they changed the trajectory of what you loved, without either of you ever knowing it. We don't miss the late fees. We don't miss driving in the rain. We don't miss the scratched disc that skipped at the climax 3 rentals in a row because someone never learned how to handle a DVD. But I think we miss, more than we've admitted, the feeling of living inside a world that hadn't been personalized for us yet. A world where the next thing you loved might come from anywhere. A handwritten note, an empty shelf, a stranger's gut feeling, your own impulsive read of a cover at 8 p.m. on a Friday. The infinite scroll knows you. It knows you so well it's almost eerie. And the cost of being perfectly known is that you are never surprised, never pushed through the wrong door into the right room. The video store was inefficient, inconvenient, and sometimes deeply frustrating. It also made us larger, and nothing we've built since has figured out how to do that. If there's a movie you only found because the one you wanted was gone, the accidental discovery, the second choice that became a favorite, I want to know what it is. And if you remember a clerk who recommended something to you, even if you can't remember their name, tell me about that too. Because those people, doing that small, unremarkable thing, were doing something the entire infrastructure of modern entertainment has not managed to replace. See you in the next one.